Hi, I'm JR with Stadium Jewelry and Pawn in Tampa, Florida, and I'd like to welcome you to the first of a series of educational videos centered around the pawn industry and the jewelry business. In this first installment, I'm going to talk about what a pawn shop is and maybe what it isn't. So try to clear up some misconceptions and let you all know what it is that we do here. First of all, something that might be kind of interesting to you is that the pawn business is one of the oldest professions in the world. In fact, Queen Elizabeth pawned her crown jewels to fund Christopher Columbus's voyage here to the States, so we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the pawn industry. So it goes back a long, long way, and it's been a way for regular people to get short-term loans and the cash that they need to make their ends meet. So, what do we do here at pawn shops? Well, first thing is there's really two transactions, or two things that we can do. First, we can buy items. When we buy something from you, it's just like you sold it to anybody else. You give us the item, we give you the cash, it's all done, and then what we do is we go ahead and hold it for a period of time, which we'll get into in a few minutes, and we go ahead and put it out for sale to hopefully make a profit for the store. So that's one way that we can give cash to our customers. The other way that we can give cash to our customers is in the form of a short-term collateralized loan. In that case, you bring in your valuables and we discuss an amount that you need and what we're willing to loan you against those items. We take possession of your item, we keep it in the back of the store, either locked up in a vault in the case of valuables like jewelry, small items, or we keep it in a locked facility here in the back of the store in the case of things like electronics, larger items. We keep those in safekeeping for you and we advance you a certain dollar amount. Let's say, for example, to make the math very simple, we loan you $100 on something. What happens is we give you the 100 and then you owe us back our $100 plus a statutory amount. It varies from state to state, the amount that is charged by a pawn shop, and it's really set by the laws and the statutes in that state. Here in Florida, the statute says that we charge 25%, and that's per month. So the $100 loan is going to cost you $125 to get that item back, and that's called a redemption. That's when you come in with our money and we give you back your item. Once that's been done, the transaction is complete. Let's say you can't afford the $125 this month, you're a little short, and you need to extend your loan. We'll allow you to extend the loan, and all you have to do is pay the $25. So you come in, you pay us $25, we write you an extension of that loan, and that goes for another 30 days. And you can do that as often as you need to until you can afford to get your item out. What happens if you don't come back for your item? We don't get mad. We've calculated a price for your item that will allow us to recuperate our investment in the item or advance to you, the loan to you, plus make a profit when we negotiate the deal with you in the very beginning. So if you don't come back for your item, that's totally fine. You're welcome to come back into the store anytime and get another loan. It's not like you have bad credit with us. It's just part of the business. So we expect that a certain percentage of our customers are not going to come back for their item either because they no longer want it or because they can't afford to get it or whatever the case may be. Totally fine. We're totally okay with that. We'll just go ahead and put the item out for sale here in the store and recuperate the amount that we loaned you plus the interest charge. Okay, so now we learned a little bit about the loan and cash advance side of the pawn business. But there's another whole side of the business as well, and a lot of you probably experienced it, and that's the retail side of the business. Most of the stores that you go into have some type of a display set up. They have things for sale on the walls and jewelry cases like what I have here in front of me, and that's where you will find either unclaimed merchandise for sale or things that the store has purchased for sale. Now, a lot of pawn shops, ours included, in fact, a lot of the merchandise that we have for sale here at the store falls into this category. We also purchase things actively. We literally go out and we try to source out items that we know sell well for us, and we bring those into the store as well. So it's not all unclaimed property. It's not all things that were purchased from customers that came, what we say, come through the front door, but it's also things that we actually went out and actively purchased and sought for our store inventory. In the case of our store, our jewelry, hopefully some of you can come down here and take a look at what we have for sale. You'll notice that our jewelry selection is vast. It rivals most jewelry stores in the area, and our high-end watch selection is extraordinary. Well, that's because we actually go out and we find those items out in the public or through wholesalers, that type of thing, so that we always have a very good supply on hand. So, if you brought in your item, you decided not to pick it up, or you sold us something, well, later on it's going to be up on the shelves. So how do we figure out a value for what it is that you want to either borrow money against or sell to us? Well, there's a lot of different sources. We look at auction sites. We look at what items are retailing for in stores in our neighborhood. And we go off of experience of what we have sold similar items for in the store. And it's kind of a juggling act. We obviously want to loan you as much money as we can. One of the things that people will often get frustrated about is that they want 100 and we can only loan them 75 or something like that. Well, that's based on our experience with items of that kind in the past. We have to be able to protect the profitability of the store, so we have to know how much we can loan and still be able to recuperate our investment in the event that the item is not picked up. So that's kind of one of the things. It's kind of a little bit of a judgment call, but understand that if I can loan $100 on an item, it doesn't do me any good to loan 75 on it. I'd rather loan the 100 and get the interest payment on that $100. The more money that I loan out, the more money that we make for the store. So we'll always try to maximize the loan amount within reason and still be able to protect the profitability of the store. So, sources that we use. Like I said, we can often use auction sites, even like eBay. I mean, that's a good example. It's a real live marketplace. You can really see what items have sold for in the past. Now, it's important if you go to eBay that you don't look at what things are listed for, because, I mean, I can ask anything for my item. What's really important is that you look at what items have sold for, so you're looking at completed auctions, so you can actually see what the items have sold for. And we'll obviously go at a percentage anywhere from a low of 30 to 50% of the item's value on eBay up to 75-80% of the value of the item on eBay, depending on the item, depending how strong that item sells in our market, and depending sometimes even on the inventory that we have on hand. If we have 1,000 digital cameras, obviously we're not hurting for digital cameras, so we might loan a little bit less money on those items. And then if it's a hot item like a Rolex, obviously those are very good for us, so we'll tend to loan a little bit more money on that. So what are the top items that people come into our store with and borrow money on? What's the easiest thing to borrow money on? Well, obviously today, gold and jewelry. My gosh, gold is going crazy. We've seen it near $2,000 a troy ounce, and then we're teetering around $1,700 as we speak. So obviously, a very small amount of gold goes a long way as far as being able to get some fast cash. And then the other items that we take is wristwatches. We are known for our high-end wristwatches. We take designer goods like handbags. You see behind me here, even shoes, Gucci shoes. I mean, we'll take that type of thing. We take musical instruments, and again, we tend toward the higher-end stuff. Guitars, Gibson, Fender, that type of thing. But we'll take anything that we can make a profit on. That's the bottom line. If we don't have to feed it, and there's a market for it, and there's somebody else that's willing to purchase that item, we'll go ahead and loan money on it. And then hopefully you come back for it. If you don't, we'll go ahead and liquidate that item and cover our expenses. All right, so we've talked a lot about what a pawn shop is. Let's talk a little bit about what a pawn shop isn't. A lot of the old time movies, things like that, they kind of portray the pawn shops and the pawn shop owners and people people to work there. You know, kind of a dark, dingy environment, kind of a little shady, that type of thing. I know that everybody's seen Pawn Stars, so that's great. It's done a lot to bring some credibility and shed some light on our industry. Most of the pawn shops around here are privately owned and operated, family operations like ours here. And then we have some national chains. But what a pawn shop is a place to come and get quick cash loans, no credit required. You don't get bad credit if you don't pay your loan back. It's just a very convenient way for a lot of people to get the cash that they need right now to pay a bill or whatever it is that's going on in their life that they need. Try to go to your neighborhood bank and ask them for a $200 loan. Well, it's just not going to happen. It's not worth their time to mess with it. So we kind of fill that niche. It's kind of a secondary financing. It's kind of an alternative banking, if you will, and that's kind of the niche that we've filled since since Queen Elizabeth's time. What we are not is a great place to take stolen property. We get this question all the time, and I think it comes from the old movies. And certainly from the early days of the pawn industry, where they were fencing stolen property and all that. Well, the fact of the matter is, less than 1% of the items that come into a pawn shop today are found to be obtained illegally. That's because there's lots of rules and regulations surrounding the pawn industry. It's one of the most highly regulated industries in America. We are required to take very accurate descriptions, lots of paperwork. We take a thumbprint of the individual that comes in. We take a picture of the individual that comes in. We scan their driver's license. We list the item, serial numbers, description of jewelry, all those types of things. And then all of that information is then literally handed over to the police department. Maybe it's the sheriff's department, the county, the local city police department. And they take all that and they put it in a database. So if you're a bad guy and you've gotten something that maybe you shouldn't have, well, this is probably the last place that you want to go to dispose of that property. So this is one of those old misconceptions that some people still have of pawn shops today. And if you look at our tour, we've done a video, kind of a quick store tour, you'll see that our store is much more of a retail jewelry environment than it is that old, seedy, dank place of the movies. I hope you enjoyed finding out a little bit more about the pawn industry. Hopefully you learned a couple new things and cleared up some maybe misconceptions. In the coming installments, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the items that we get. We're going to be talking about some diamonds and jewelry and wristwatches and just a whole bunch of different things. How to spot the good ones from the bad ones. So hopefully you can make an informed decision next time you go shopping. So until then, we thank you for joining us. JR with Stadium Jewelry and Pawn in Tampa, Florida. We'll see you again.